These extradition cases, they're everywhere in the news lately. This whole Sanjay Bhandari thing in the UK, Tahawwur Rana's appeal here in the US.
Yeah, it seems like every time I turn around, there's another headline about it.
It's easy to see them as just, isolated legal battles, right? But I think there's something much bigger going on here. When you look closer, these cases start to reveal a whole lot about India's legal system and its place on the global stage.
Absolutely. These cases raise some fundamental questions, especially when it comes to human rights.
And for anyone out there prepping for UPSC, especially if you're focusing on current events, law, human rights, this is a topic you really can't afford to ignore.
Definitely not. The implications are huge. It's not just about these individual cases, but what they tell us about India's legal system as a whole.
Exactly. So today we're doing a deep dive into this whole extradition issue and what it says about India's need for a solid anti-torture law. We'll be pulling mainly from reporting and analysis in The Hindu to unpack all of this. Sound good?
Sounds great. Let's jump in.
Okay, so let's start with those specific cases you mentioned. Bhandari and Rana. On the surface, they seem totally different, right? Different people, different charges, different countries. So what is it that's making international courts so hesitant about extraditing them to India? What's that common thread?
Well, the UK High Court was pretty clear about their reasoning in the Bhandari case. They flat out denied his extradition because of, and I'm quoting here, the real risk of custodial torture in Indian jails.
Wow. So this wasn't just like a side note in their decision. This was the main reason they blocked it.
Exactly. It was the core issue. And what's even more important for us to notice is that the court specifically pointed to India not ratifying the UN Convention Against Torture, UNCAT. That was a big part of their decision.
So this isn't just some legal technicality. This really gets to the heart of how India's legal system is viewed internationally.
Absolutely. It has significant implications for India's credibility when it comes to upholding human rights.
Okay, so we got the Bhandari ruling. But it doesn't stop there, right? This decision is starting to have a ripple effect.
Oh, for sure. You're seeing it already with Tahawwur Rana. He's appealing his extradition to India right here in the U.S. And guess what?
He's using the Bhandari case as leverage.
You got it. His lawyers are basically saying, hey, look, the UK had serious concerns about India's human rights record, specifically the lack of protection against torture, so you should too. And guess what?
Other people are catching on.
Exactly. We're seeing reports that other folks fighting extradition to India are using the same arguments. It's becoming a pattern. This isn't just a one-off. It's pointing to a systemic issue.
And here's where it gets even more interesting for me, right? Because India has this whole history of being a champion for human rights globally. Think about those early commitments, like the Universal Declaration of Human Rights back in '48, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights in '76.
Right, right. And Indo's right there at the forefront, supporting those foundational documents.
So why the hesitation with UNCAT? Seems like a total mismatch, especially when you see these extradition problems popping up.
It's a fair question, and when you start listing out the other countries who haven't ratified UNCAT, Angola, Brunei, Sudan, countries that aren't exactly known for their stellar human rights records, it makes you wonder where India fits into all of this. Plus, we've got Articles 51 and C and 253 in our own constitution, right? They basically say we need to adhere to international treaties. It's a real head-scratcher.
Yeah, and this isn't exactly a new conversation either, is it? I mean, the push for an anti-torture law in India has been going on for a while now.
Oh, absolutely. It's been on the agenda for years. You've got the Rajya Sabha Select Committee back in 2010 saying, hey, we need a comprehensive anti-torture law. Then in 2017, the Law Commission, in their 273rd report, even put together a draft law.
So they weren't just talking. They actually put pen to paper and said, here's what it could look like.
Exactly. And the NHRC, the National Human Rights Commission, they've been calling for a standalone anti-torture law for ages. Yet here we are, still waiting. It's mind-boggling.
It really is. So we've got this international pressure, clear recommendations from within India, but what's been happening within our courts? Have they stepped in to fill the gap, maybe through some creative interpretations of existing laws?
Well, it's a bit complicated, to be honest. The Supreme Court has definitely leaned into Article 21 of the Constitution, the one about the right to life and personal liberty. They've given it a pretty expansive interpretation, stressing things like dignity and privacy.
Okay, so some good signs there.
For sure. There are some landmark judgments, D.K. Basu back in '97, K.S. Puttaswamy in 2017, Romila Thapar in 2018. These all show that the court is willing to go broad when it comes to fundamental rights.
So why haven't this translated into stronger legal protection against torture, especially with all these international extradition cases where it's a central issue?
That's the thing. The Supreme Court seems hesitant to force the legislature's hand on this. Take the Ashwani Kumar case in 2019. There were some strong statements earlier, like in Tahsin Poonawalla in 2018, Ranveer Allahabadiya even. talking about the need for appropriate laws. But in Ashwani Kumar, the court seemed to back off from actually demanding action. And then you've got the Jeet S. Bicht case from 2007. They acknowledge that, yeah, maybe they could point out shortcomings to other institutions, but there's a reluctance to really push for specific legislation.
Even though they're acknowledging these rights are important and that not having the right laws in place can be a problem.
Exactly. It goes against what you see in some other countries where courts really emphasize that without those specific laws, you can't guarantee those rights are protected. It's a fascinating dance between the judiciary and the legislature, and it's a crucial point for anyone studying the Indian judiciary for their exams.
Absolutely. So we've got this disconnect, the judiciary recognizing the problem but not really forcing a solution, and all these extradition cases throwing India's commitment to human rights into question. What's the overall impact on India's global reputation?
It's not great, to be blunt. These cases raise serious doubts about India's commitment to democratic values, to human rights. When you don't have a clear anti-torture law, it weakens your arguments when you're trying to extradite people. It gives them a way to fight back, a legitimate reason to say, hey, I might be tortured if you send me back there, and guess what happens?
They get away with it. They avoid facing justice.
Precisely, and it makes India look bad. It looks like we're dragging our feet, maybe even ignoring the problem. It hurts our credibility, especially when we're trying to be a leader in human rights on the world stage.
And India's made it pretty clear they want a bigger role in global affairs.
Yeah, and if you're aiming for global leadership, you've got to walk the walk. Ratifying UNCAT, finally enacting a strong anti-torture law. Those are crucial steps if India wants to live up to its own ideals and be seen as a credible defender of human rights.
We've seen what happens when a country ignores these issues, right? Guantanamo Bay comes to mind. The stain on their reputation, their moral standing. It's a powerful lesson.
Definitely a cautionary tale.
So for everyone listening, and especially those UPSC aspirants out there, these extradition cases are about way more than just legal maneuvering. They're shining a spotlight on a much bigger issue, the urgent need for India to finally get a comprehensive anti-torture law on the books. This isn't just a legal question, it's about ethics, about international relations.
For sure. Understanding this whole situation, the legal arguments, the decisions being made, it's crucial for anyone studying international law and human rights.
And for everyone, really. Think about it. India has these commitments to fundamental rights in its own constitution. It wants to be a major player on the world stage. What does it say when we keep delaying action on something as fundamental as preventing torture? And not just in terms of international law, but what does it say about us as a society, about the values we uphold, about the rights of every single person in this country?
Lots to ponder there. It's not a simple issue. It touches on so many aspects of who we are as a nation.
It really does. So if you found this deep dive helpful and you want more like it, especially as you're preparing for those UPSC exams, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We release new deep dives all the time, and we love hearing from you in the comments, so let us know your thoughts on this crucial issue.
We're always looking for more perspectives and questions.
And one last reminder that The Hindu was our main source for today's discussion.
Definitely worth checking out their reporting and analysis on this.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
See you next time.